So, this weekend in the British wrestling scene, there's absolutely jam-packed shows. I mean, if I remember rightly, Steve, is Rev Pro on right now?
It's happening right now with the only people not there.
Yes, it's
Counter
obviously
programming.
fun. Obviously, Rev Pro's happening, All In, Tidal, and I'm sure there's some more shows I forgot. Have I missed any? Progress, yeah. There's absolutely so many shows this weekend. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at one show which I do believe is coming up very, very soon. NGW. They've got a show coming up.
Do indeed in September, yeah. Obviously, we can give you a rundown about everything NGW, which is, as you said, Liam, maybe doesn't get the exposure, or at least the online exposure that it maybe deserves. And obviously, we can talk about that and everything else that I've been involved with. So.
Of course. And then for our next second part, we're going to be talking about some stars in the UK is making the name for themselves. It was very, very hard to pick a list, so we're going to be doing all that. But first, intern, roll the intro. And I'm delighted to be joined by my good friend. I'm going to let this guy at the side of me introduce himself. I'm sure a lot of people know who he is anyway.
Is that me or Jim?
That is you, because you're one at the side of me.
Yes, hello. I'm Stevie Aaron. I'm a master of ceremonies all around the UK, and it's a pleasure to be here again.
You're becoming a very regular on the show.
Well, I mean, it's only the third one. Good to just see what happens, Liam. You never know.
Stevie, how's the week been, my friend?
It's been okay. It's been a bit chaotic for me, but I felt like I was coming down with a cold, but I feel much better now we've started. So hopefully, we'll see how this show goes, and all positive vibes, and we'll be feeling good after it.
Of course. And this guy's been on the show quite a few times. He gets so much. What he doesn't actually know about this is every time he's on the show, the feedback I get from people is absolutely terrific. Jim, introduce yourself, my friend.
I'm Jim King. I'm not involved in the way that Stevie is, but I'm a massive wrestling fan and looking forward to talking about some of the British to I'm away to All In this weekend. So going to see what AEW have got to offer.
Of course. And how's your week been, by the way?
It's been a good week. I came from a Star Trek convention last weekend where my main podcast, we got to do a little panel, a bit of a game show. So that was good fun. It's always fun jumping between my fandoms. So I've come from Star Trek fandom last weekend into wrestling fandom this weekend. I'm sure there's a bit of crossover somewhere, but you can't always find it.
Stevie, I imagine you're a bit of a Star Trek person as well. I'm getting that vibe.
Not massively, if I'm honest. I mean, I quite like Next Gen and some of the films, but I can talk about it.
But no, this is a wrestling show. This is a different show altogether.
Okay. Yeah, you can come on mine next week.
I'll come on yours next week. I need to watch the new Star Trek shows. My friends pick them up, so I'm sure they're good.
Right, yep. So what we're going to do is, this is a two-part show. So for the first part, we're going to be talking about a promotion that doesn't get the love, do you know what I mean? Which, this is probably one which stuck out for me like a sore thumb, which is NGW. And yeah, we're going to be going through a whole report, which one fan managed to send me, and just basically give them a bit of love. So yeah, here we go. So this is NGW. Now, Stevie, you obviously work for this promotion. Mm-hmm. Can you tell people a bit of obviously the backstory and stuff?
Yeah, I can tell you basically the first day story in many ways, and I might have told a condensed version of this event that happened back in 2008. I won't bore everyone with the details, but basically I was doing shows all over at the time, working for different promotions. There was an event I did in the Northeast. I can't remember. I could probably pinpoint it if I sat and thought hard enough, but nevertheless, what had happened is a group of lads who I wasn't familiar with. It was a promoter, a friend of mine actually, had managed to sell a ring to a group of individuals in the Hull area. In fact, it was in Hull. And after the event, a friend of mine was going to drive the van with the ring and drop it off to these young lads, most of which were teenagers, if not all of them at the time. It was getting late anyway by the time we took the ring down and everything, and we got in the van and we made this long journey to Hull, which is about 2 hours from where we were. Maybe a bit, actually, it might have been a bit more. It might have been more like 3 hours from where we'd done that particular night. And we got there. The ring wasn't in tip-top shape, I'll be honest. I know for a fact it wasn't. It was falling to bits, but it had done this last show for us. We dropped it off with these lads. They were so happy, they were so giddy. Oh, we've got a ring. And we were just like, these are just, backyarders or marks or something derogatory like that. We got home in the end about 7 o'clock in the morning, I remember, and there was part of the ring that had just fell off. It was an old ring, and I remember dumping these parts, in a skip next to Tesco or something like that. But anyway, fast forward to a few years later, they've kind of established themselves. It was run by a guy called Rich Dunn, and it still is run by Rich Dunn. And they started doing these smaller events in the whole area. Fast forward to 2014, I believe. I get the phone call. There's a lot more people involved with NGW at this point now. They're running the Airco Arena. It was like, we wanted Stevie, can you ring announce for us now? We're doing television. We've got a TV deal. And yeah, it was a good pleasure. And obviously I knew some of the guys from working, different parts of the country and whatnot, but they wanted to really make something of it. And then over the next few years, a lot of things happened for them, started running more events. Again, it was the same sort of area, doing this television show for a channel called Estuary. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it was around the time that the government was putting in place these local television channels. I don't know what's happening with that at the moment. I think it's all been a bit vague, isn't it, when it comes to local TV? I don't know if it's worked as well as they were expecting, but nevertheless, we had this TV deal. It was also around the time of I've forgotten the name of the. It was Wrestle Talk that were doing it. I think it was just called Wrestle Talk, wasn't it? Wrestle Talk TV on Challenge, if you remember that, on Challenge TV. So they had a deal in place there where they showed some NGW matches. We got into Butlins. I remember being at Bognor Regis for the first one. Did the presentation of how it would, differentiate itself from what had been professional wrestling at holiday camps before. So it was much more high tech. There was, the use of the big screen. We had the Beast Mark Labette as our general manager of the Chase fame, though we couldn't say that. We couldn't make any references to ITV. You'll see NGW don't do that, but we can still say, it's Mark Labette. And things just happened. Obviously, a lot's happened since the pandemics. Not as many events being run, but it's kind of coming back a bit. But the tippy top thing about NGW getting out of the Airco Arena, which is a great arena, and we ran it for 1PW back in 2006, and that became kind of the home ground for New Generation Wrestling for a while. But then we ended up running the City Hall, and the best events at the City Hall. I mean, it's unbelievable. There's 1,000 people there. I look up to one balcony. I can see the people. I look up to the top. They're just all around. The best event we ever did in terms of attendance was a Christmas event some years back, and they had to turn people away. It was unreal. And in Hull, they love NGW. They know all the guys. They know Nathan Cruz. They know the amazing Matt Myers. They know Sam Bailey. They know, everybody, Justin Sizen when he was wrestling. You name them. Adam Maxted, Rampage Brown, Robbie X, all of those guys. They knew everybody, and you do get stopped in the street in Hull, which is really weird because, like you say, you go online and there isn't as much activity about New Generation Wrestling now. I don't know if this is kind of what's the word? Jim, you might be able to help me out here. Being a big Spock fan or whatever, but you know, there's this kind of, I don't know if it's smugness or if a lot of hardcore wrestling fans, they're not really called hardcore wrestling fans now. That's kind of what I would have called them. I don't mean hardcore as in the style. I mean, you know, obsessives, people who might just stick to AEW or watch New Japan and things like that. You know, smarter fans. I don't want to insult those kinds of people, but I think a lot of people like that do not attend certain wrestling shows, particularly in this country, because they see them as their family shows or their pantomime shows or something like that. I don't know if you think that was fair, but that's the impression I get. However, the last NGW show, I did notice a few fans there, and I've seen some reports online. We are attracting, you know, a different audience now, so you do get those kind of fans as well. I think it's a good mix, to be honest, of families and, you know, internet fans, but it's just never had the following as other groups have, who don't draw half as well as NGW. I mean, that's just a fact. But I don't know. There's a lot.
I think it's this is just speaking from someone who has only sort of recently started to get into like the British scene. I do think it's quite difficult to find a jumping on point, and it seems that once you know what the names are of the promotions and once you know who some of the acts are, you can sort of start to find your way online and find that there are these great communities and there is a lot of support out there. But if you're just starting from a point of I'm a fan, maybe you're a fan of WWE or AEW or whatever, and you think, oh, I wonder if there's any wrestling I can watch in the UK, and you just sit down and type it into your search engine. I think it's that step that's quite difficult to crack, but once you kind of in, it gets a lot easier.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because I was I mean, I obviously still a fan, but you know what I mean, I was a teenage fan during the late 90s and the 90s, and I would never have gone to a lot of the British shows, because at the time there was the big problem of, and I will say it's a problem, no offense to anybody that was involved in them, but the tribute shows, you know, where they were saying that so-and-so is playing Steve Austin, this guy's playing The Rock. I obviously avoided that because I thought that I, you know, just didn't want to know, because I looked down on that kind of thing. I got lucky though and went to a local event one time where they were basically touring ex-WWF guys, you know, like Earthquake and Bushwhackers, and Skinner was there, and all these different guys. And I give that a chance, and then I did get to see, you know, Robbie Brookside and, you know, all this great talent. But the point is that I think that's an excellent point. It's you might be a fan of professional wrestling per se, and be a fan of all the best stuff, but it's making that step, isn't it, to go and attend a local event. But I do think, and I'll put them over now, because I know that's what we're talking about. If anybody's, you know, watching and they're unsure, I do think they would get something from NGW. Yeah, you might have the more traditional British style. You might have something that does cater to families, but it's not. And I believe in Richard's philosophy here, because we've talked about this before. It's not, you know, and I don't mean to insult Big Daddy or anything, but it's not easy. Oh, he's got this guy. You know, it is a very hard-hitting, technical-based product. I hear that word, but it is. You know, it's still, you're going to get wrestling, and it's not going to insult your intelligence, but you're also going to get, you know, the larger-than-life characters and the personas and the personalities.
Yeah, and the one thing obviously I like is obviously over the past couple of weeks, I've obviously managed to speak to Scott Bell, Nathan Cruz, and Ace Matthews, and they've all said the exactly same thing. It's family friendly. Everyone, you know, is pushing for the same, and the crowd's great. Do you know what I mean? It's been highly recommended a few times, but yeah, I feel like we just mentioned there, obviously with the internet exposure, maybe that's something to look at. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like with the world we're living in now, internet is probably key for any type of industry. Is that a fair statement?
It is, but they're successful, Liam. You see, you know, I mean, how much effort do you put into something like that? You know, when you've got a following, and I don't think, you know, I don't mean to be sort of to shun that or to say that that's something that you couldn't look at. But I think the people that run NGW have got the priorities right, and obviously I am biased because I am the announcer and stuff. But could there be more exposure online? Absolutely. It would be nice even if it was just fan support. I think talking about the last events, talking about who the champion is, that kind of thing, and maybe that'll happen after today.
There you go, hopefully. So obviously one fan managed to give us a nice little report, so we've talked a bit about the history which was on here, so we'll go through the match card and just give you thoughts. So it goes as follows. So we got an impromptu opener. You might be able to correct me if I'm wrong here. The Bhangra Bad Boy, Amir Jordan, is that correct?
Amir Jordan, yeah. Do you want to just give when that event was from, Liam, and the date and the location? Yep. So that was the Hull City Hall. That was the last one we did.
That was Friday, the 23rd of June at the Hull City Hall. It was the 15th anniversary show, which was kind of... So obviously, there's a big key thing there. And when I was reading this actual report, I'm like, wow, there's so many people obviously we've seen throughout, obviously, during the show. I mean, Jim, obviously, I sent you the report. What did you think when we obviously looked at it?
Yeah, there were a lot of familiar names on there, like Amir Jordan straight away. I've seen him at 1PW a couple of times, and he's just got a great... I can see why he would be in the opening match, because he's got a great connection with the crowd. He always gets a massive pop, and his entrance with the sort of Bollywood styling and the dancing and everything, it just lifts the audience immediately. So I can see why he's placed there on the card.
Yeah,
is that a fair comment, Steve?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Amir Jordan, he was he was in NXT UK. I think he did have some traction for a while. I think his entrance is, and I'm not insulting him here at all because he's a friend of mine, but it is a big part of the presentation. His entrance. He comes out and he does his thing. He gets everybody dancing. He sometimes gets me dancing, and it was a good start. What actually happened there was Sam Bailey was upset because he was supposed to face Adam Flex Maxted for the title, and Adam Maxted, unfortunately, there you go. There's the picture. He was cutting the promo there. Interrupted me. He thought he should have been awarded the title, basically, and we had the Destiny Rumble, which was for the #1 contendership. But instead, it was decided by management that Sam Bailey had to compete in the Rumble rather than just being given the title.
Okay.
That's when he was interrupted by Amir Jordan.
This next match really, really caught my eye, and it was classed as a Gen X League match, which is, of course, the king of the cruiserweights, Robbie X, versus the youngest in charge, Leon Slater. I mean, these two, for me, are absolutely probably the top two in the UK right now. I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong, Stevie. The Gen X is that like NGW's version of the cruiserweights?
Kind of, yeah, or maybe X Division more so. The idea is all of the matches are 10 minutes long. When it started, I mean, it was a good thing for TV. If you look on maybe YouTube, it's probably got some of the TV matches on there. It was a good thing to have the timer in the bottom right hand corner and count down. It was very sort of TV orientated. So I'm always told before those matches, just to explain it, if there's any new fans in the crowd, we're not looking for time limits. The idea is when the participants are under pressure and they've got a strict 10-minute time limit, they're going to take more chances, so it's going to be more high risk. But before the bell rings of any Gen X League match, they've got to touch the top turnbuckle. A lot of the early matches were all triple threats as well, but really we've done triple threats, we've done the singles matches. Yeah, they touch a top turnbuckle and then the ref asks for the bell and then they just go boom, 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 boom. But them two guys, yeah, absolutely. That was what we wanted. We wanted the fast-paced match. As I say, it's more family orientated, but I don't, talking about modern wrestling fans, maybe ignoring NGW, I think they would get a lot out of that. In particular.
I love that idea. That sounds like a fantastic way to, when you've got these guys who've got a lot of skills and have maybe got a few flashy moves or whatever. That just sounds like a fantastic way to showcase up and comers. I don't know if that's how it's used, but that's just such a great concept.
It is, and when we used to have like a heel champion in that division as well, you know, they'd be counted down the time, and they'd be like, oh no, and they were always saved by the time limit as well. I always loved that. I don't know if you remember back in the day when William Regal or Steven Regal at the time in WCW when he was television champion, he always did the time limit draws and stuff, and I always thought that was really clever, you know, that the heel manipulates the time limit. And I should also point out as well, that the reason this exists, I'm fairly sure it was to do with the fact that they were doing television. It was like, right, we need this match because we're just doing, you know, these hour shows, or half an hour it was at one point. The team behind NGW, a lot of the team heavily involved with the World of Sport revival. So there was a lot of ideas, I think, that would have came from doing things like that. But yeah, that's the Gen X League anyway.
Okay, awesome. So next match was the one-woman army. Lizzie Evo defeated the Iron Queen, Alexis Falcon. So this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a typical babyface versus heel. Obviously, Alexis is the hometown hero. Is Lizzie, I mean, what can we say about Lizzie? She could walk into a crowd and get booed for everything. But Jim, I'll start with you on this one. What did you think to this one?
I mean, again, I'm reading the report and everything. Like you say, Lizzie Evo's just great. She's just got that thing, and she can have everyone hating her. And she's very, very good at crowd control. She's one of them. I think we talked about this last time, where she's one of them heels now where people respect how good she is, and they kind of want to cheer for her. And she was playing an injury angle, I think, on the last 1PW one we talked about, and eliciting a bit of sympathy, but she can turn it like that and get the heel heat. So, yeah, I just think she's great as a performer. I've not come across Alexis Falcon, but again, from the report we've got, it sounds like it was a really good match.
Yeah,
I think did it finish with a run-in as well? We got Rio came in at the end, so
yeah, I think Rio came in after when I think Lizzie took advantage of the situation or something. She got the cheap win, and then did the beat down on Alexis.
Yep. So Stevie, obviously you know Lizzie. Obviously, I don't know if you know Alexis as well. So take it away.
Well, first of all, Alexis, I don't know how many bookings she's taken at the moment, but she's got a great look. You know, she's got a lot of fire. Blue eyes. She's from Hull. She had a family there that particular night. I do remember that. Yeah, she could go places. I think she's got a great look. Lizzie, absolute prick, just completely. And I love her to death because she's fantastic and she's so good. And you say, Jim, about, you know, people kind of want to cheer her, but then that's the point where she usually gets on the microphone. She's got that, you know, really, I don't want to insult anyone from Liverpool, but you know, that Scouse accent, and it just grates on you so much. And she gives me crap, and I love that, and I tell her to give me crap, and she's so great as a human being. She's brilliant, and she deserves everything. And I think, as a matter of fact, I'm fairly sure the first time I met Lizzie was in NGW. Now, NGW, you know, not known for doing many women's matches or having a particularly strong division or anything like that, but I do remember her being there. I think it was an event in Leeds many years ago, and she was very young at the time, but she had something about her. There is something, I don't know, maybe it's just me, there is something about Lizzie that's just, she just has, you know, when these people just have a spark, or they just have something, an aura, whatever it is, she's got something about her. And you know, she's got better and better over time. Obviously worked with her in What Culture Pro Wrestling when she did the feud with Lana Austin. Loved all that stuff, loved giving her ideas, and I've got stories about that which I couldn't really tell you, but you know, just regarding some of the promos she caught, one of them very, very offensive, but it got major heat. And yeah, when we were doing, like I say, What Culture in Dubai, so I was over the moon when you know, she'd become a major part of, you know, 1PW since it came back, and now to be used in a similar role in NGW, the exact same stuff, and it's simple and it's effective and it's good. She gets on the mic, she says, I'm here to be the first ever NGW women's champion. That's her goal, and yeah, it's worked everywhere else, so why not?
There you go. Why change it? So, next matchup is obviously Nathan Cruz and the amazing Mike Myers defeated Reese and Rogan. Stevie, this is weird because obviously he's well liked and obviously NGW, but I'm used to him being an ass. I'll just say that.
Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he was an ass in NGW as well for a while. He did turn heel for a while. Obviously, since he's come back, he's been their main. I don't want to say John Cena type because he might go to his head, but he is their main baby face. Same with amazing Matt Myers. There's a great story there about Myers wanting to retire, but Cruz won't let him. I don't know if you've got that in your report. Reese and Rogan, upcoming tag team, two great guys. Listen to so much advice. Listen, the best thing I've always said to people who want to be in a tag team is like, don't watch, modern wrestling. I'm not saying there isn't good tag teams out there because there is, but go back and watch something a little more simpler where you can, watch for the hot tags and you can watch the psychology and that kind of thing. Not to go into that, but I told them to go back and watch like Tully and Arn and stuff from the 80s and give them various ideas, but that's essentially what they're doing. I'm not going to say if they're not quite the UK FTR, but they might get there. But that was an incredible match. I mean, the heat in that match was unbelievable. You could really feel the building shake, and it's it's not an exaggeration. It was really good. As I say, great storyline, great match, all of them guys. So yeah, I recommend that one. And this is the thing I do agree with you on, Liam, when we're talking about the NGW may not have the internet exposure. The sad thing is, I'd hate for that match to be lost. I'd love to see it again. It is all taped. I don't know what their outlet's going to be for the future, but that would be one to watch back because it was really, really good.
Jim, what about you? What did you reckon when you read this?
Yeah, Nathan Cruz is a good guy. I've only seen him work as a heel, but when I read it, I just sort of took a mental step back and thought, you know what? Actually, I can see that he's got a good look as a face, and I could see him being a major baby face. So hopefully, I'll get to see babyface Nathan Cruz at some point.
Just every time you said babyface Nathan, I'm just like, I cannot see it. I really can't.
Well, he still does the cocky stuff, He still needs to do the show stealer stuff, and then he's professional and whatnot. But does the entrance, but because he's one of them, that's what it is. He's East Riding, North Yorkshire, and all that stuff. But he's seen as a hometown hero, so that's why it works. He was heel for a while though. Yeah.
Interesting. So we'll get on to our main event. And Stevie, all I'll say is Destiny Rumble, take it away.
Well, the Destiny Rumble, I mean, it is essentially a Royal Rumble, 20 men in it. They're coming out, I think it was every 90 seconds. And yeah, would you have guessed, Liam, who was going to win that based on the events earlier in the night? Was that too telegraphed or?
No, I didn't have a clue.
You didn't have a clue? So obviously Sam Bailey, who's the seen as one of the originators of NGW, he's got a chip on his shoulder. My former tag team partner, actually, he was my partner in my last ever match in NGW. But he's bitter and he's angry, and now he's the champion. So
there you go. So Jim, obviously it's a Rumble. Obviously there were some well-known names in there. Obviously Will Cruz, Leon Slater. There's quite a few. Vusic. What did you reckon when you read the report?
Yeah, again, Robbie X coming in at 19. I think that's a very good placement. I'm a big fan of Robbie X, and when you get those late entrants, especially like someone who's going to get a big sort of crowd reaction, you're probably thinking he's going to be the one who's going to save us from the bad guy, and then to not do it.
That's what happens. Yeah,
I think that's just a great way of playing it. I mean, when me and Liam have talked about previous events, I'm a big advocate for having heel champions. Like, we all like it when the good guy gets to the top of the mountain, but the stories are harder to tell after that. So having a heel go over it might not send the crowd home happy or what have you, but I think with a promotion that's wanting to tell longer term storylines, it's the way to go.
Yeah, and I should point out as well, it was a tricky thing to do because you did want to send them home happy. We were celebrating 50 years of NGW. There was a little bit after the event, with Cruz talking to Matt Myers, and Matt Myers saying that he's not going to quit now, and that he's going to stay on and try and recapture the title. So there was a nice little ending after the fact that Sam Bailey had won the title. But you're absolutely right. You've got something where fans are going to go, I'll come back and I want to see that match. I want to see Matt Myers, beat him, or if it's Nathan Cruz or even Robbie, whoever it's going to be. Yeah.
There you go. So that's obviously the report. I think what we'll do is we'll actually post this report obviously on our YouTube, on our actual website, so people can go and read it for themselves, because it's really there's a lot. Obviously, we've not skipped, but there's so much in this report.
Well, I will add very quickly, Liam, if it's all right. That was Rampage's first match back, and he was such an integral part of New Generation Wrestling, and obviously he's been to NXT UK and everything, and then come back. He was a surprise. And he's been a long time heel, and he got one of the pops of the night, just because it's like, that's Rampage, I don't believe it, he's back, and I love cool stuff like that. And the storyline that we didn't speak about was Myers wasn't actually in the Rumble. Dara Diablo was, but he was injured, and what happened was Dara wanted to give him his spot earlier in the night, and Myers is like, oh, I don't know. And then when Dara Diablo's music plays during the Rumble, he comes out, stands there, and then Myers, he introduces Myers, and Myers takes his place because it's what everybody wants. And it's like, he's going to give it one more shot. And then when he didn't win the title, obviously, he's got a reason to stick around now with Sam Bailey being the champion.
There you go. That's absolutely terrific. So we'll obviously end this little segment on Stevie. Obviously, they've got a show coming up in September. Do you want to plug it?
Yeah. Have you got the date there? There it is. Yeah, so NGW returns, Saturday the 16th of September. It's at the Eastmount Centre, this one. It's not at the City Hall, which is their original venue, their original ground. And something's going to happen. I don't know what it is. Something's going to happen that's never happened before. What that is, I have no idea. But we'll find out shortly. Just add them on social media, Facebook, whatever, and they'll clue you in on what's going to happen.
There you go. So you can get your tickets at New Gen Wrestling, and I do believe the front row's sold out, if I remember right.
Front row's sold out. I did see that. Yeah.
So there you go. So New Generation, there you go. We've given you some love. We'll post this out so you can share it about.
I think it's it's a they've retitled the event as well. It's like the prelude to Eternal Glory or something, countdown to Eternal Glory, which again is like that big show of December. But when that will be, I'm not sure, to be honest, off the top of my head. But yeah.
There you go. So before we obviously get into our next segment, I was just going to say a massive shout out to our actual new sponsor. Now I've got a question for you both. Have you heard of the Kill City Cup?
Kill City Cup?
No.
No. So this is I don't even know how to describe it because it's so unique. It's like a tournament thing. I'm just going to play the video, then I'll explain it after. Here it is.
Welcome to the Kill City Cup.
There you go. Does that explain it?
Looks like Leeds on a Saturday night.
Yeah, so this actual thing is in the description. It's basically like an American Badass tournament, and there's some well-known people in it. Brian Cage is in it, Matt Seidel, Natalia Markova, and it's very, very unique. I would recommend anybody in the UK to go and watch it. That's, like I said, it's Kill City Cup on YouTube, or you can check out the description in this and go and have a look. Sorry, you guys are a little bit stunned there. You all right?
No, it looked awesome. I mean, yeah.
Right then, so for our second part of the show, we wanted to give some spotlight on some UK talent for people, obviously, in the UK and obviously people in the US, and go and check these talent out. So we've got a list of people, and we're just going to basically give, honestly, our thoughts on them. So, I mean, we've always spoke about this person. She was on the NGW show, so it's, of course, it's Lizzie Evo. We have to start with I'm just going to say this. I think, for me personally, and this might be a controversial statement, it might not, I think she's probably the best female talent in the UK right now. I'm saying that out loud. I mean, she's won multiple titles. We know, obviously, what she's like in shows. I've seen so many of her matches. I mean, Jim, Liz Evo.
Yeah, I think I would not disagree with you there. We sort of alluded to it earlier, but she has got her character absolutely figured out. She embodies it. She doesn't waver with it. And what I've enjoyed seeing over the course of a few matches is that she is starting to play into the manipulation of the crowd. So I think there is a thing with wrestling fans now where they appreciate the work of the person, regardless of the character they're playing. And I think she's having fun with that now. Like, yeah, I know they want to cheer me, but I can make them boo me just by looking at them, or just by, as Stevie said, opening their mouth for a second. And I think there's a bit of an English thing to it, because, again, not disparaging any part of the country, but there is a perception of Liverpudlians, and she heavily leans into that. And that will immediately get heat, but there is a lot more to her than that gimmick. And then in the ring, she's just fantastic. You can tell that she's a bit of a veteran now, and she can carry matches. She can lay them out. Yeah, she's an all-rounder. She's great, and she deserves everything she's getting.
There you go. Stevie, you obviously spoke about it in the NGW part. Have you got anything to add?
I think there was some interesting points there from Jim's perspective, and I think I definitely echo a lot of that. I think she could be used as an example for a lot of trainees now, talking about, you know, characters and characterization and kind of, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm not knocking any of that, but Lizzie is Lizzie. I mean, that's her. I'm not saying that she's prick in real life. I mean, she's a bit, but in a good way. But what I mean is very much in it. You know, the best wrestling gimmicks, the best wrestlers. I've always thought it is an extension of their personality, or something in them that you might not necessarily see instantly. But if you look at her in the eyes, I know when I announce her and I see her and she's out there, that is her. There's something very genuine there. Even, you know, if she is being and like say an asshole to me or whatever, and you know, I love it when she pushes me about and I'm giving her crap back and stuff like that. And but there's just something very genuine about it, and she's tapped in and she knows who she is, and she's. I was going to compare it to someone else, but I'm not going to, because I think Lizzie is Lizzie, and I think you're right, Liam. I think you know, right now I can't think of anybody. Though, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are doing well right now. But yeah, if it was me and I was running my own, you know, promotion or event, I think she'd be one of the first people I'd contact, if I'm honest.
Yeah. When I was looking, obviously, through her history, obviously she's had the NXT thing, but I do believe she's obviously Future Shock coach as well, some sort of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not clued up, to be honest, on what she's doing in terms of training and stuff. You would have to ask her, but yeah, possibly. Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, I've like I said, that you cannot speak highly about her. Do you know what I mean? I remember watching that video which she did where the 1PW show where we got a look into obviously like growing up in wrestling. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember seeing it, and yeah, as I say, I've seen her a few times in 1PW, and the way she carries herself is just she's at the top of the card, whether she's the champ or not. You can tell that she's a person you build a division around, and yeah, she's just fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think next up we've got and I'm curious to get Stevie Aaron's opinion on this one, and it's Charles Crowley.
Charles Crowley, yeah.
I've got to be interested. This guy is really grown on me, and I fucking hate to admit that because he's a twat. But every time, I mean, by the way, congratulations on obviously him and Session winning the titles at Riot, by the way. That's some little plug there. But Stevie, obviously Charles Crowley, the gimmick is so unique, and I feel like it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Go ahead.
I don't know how experienced he is in the ring, but from what I've seen, in terms of entrance, he's put a lot of thought into that. Put a lot of thought into projecting himself, which I think is important. Just keep doing what you're doing. He's found something unique. He's found something that gets under people's skin. That something that people instantly get. I mean, if you look at that photo there, I'll tell you what's good about that. You can just tell. I mean, from looking at that, you can just tell who he is. You know exactly who he is from just the way his pose, to the big hat, the way he's doing this. Whether he's like the cocky showman that he wants to be, haven't spoken to him much outside of the ring or anything. We had a good conversation a couple of months ago. Well, it wasn't really much of a conversation, but we did have a conversation, and it was just a case of he seems to be a really likable guy outside of the ring, so he's a bit of a polar opposite there, but very unique. I love this kind of characterization stuff, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, Jim. Obviously, I know you've seen him at 1PW again, but I imagine you've done some history on this guy.
Yeah, he's been all over the place, hasn't he? He's done Progress and TNT and NXT, so he's very seasoned, and maybe that speaks to a little bit like Stevie was saying about the character work that he's doing, because I find watching independent wrestlers, a lot of them are extremely talented in the ring, but they've not put a lot of thought into the characters sometimes, which you can understand, because if quite often you go to a different promotion, you may be asked to play a heel in one promotion, you may be asked to play a face in another, and so you don't always have time to come up with these characters. Whereas you can tell that Crowley has, like, even the name Crowley sort of invokes, like, is it Aleister Crowley and cults and all this stuff. So it immediately gives you this impression, and it tells you this is probably a bad guy. And then the 1PW match we saw him in, where basically it was a multi-man match, but because he was such an antagonistic presence, everybody just abandoned him one by one. And to me,
so the 8-man tag, you mean? So he's turning on. Yeah, right.
And so instantly I got it. It's like you say, looking at the picture of him, you can see exactly who he is. And watching that one match, it's right. I've got it. This is that guy. I get the whole thing, and I'm ready to see more of it. I'd love to see where he goes with it. I'd love to see him more often. See a series of matches with him, and hopefully, if he's throwing himself into the British scene, I'll get the chance to do it. But he's one that has definitely got it figured out, what he wants to be and how he's going to do it. And I love to see that.
Yeah, definitely. So next up we've got it, and this is one I absolutely love, is Session Moth Martina. Now, there's an actual saying in it, and it actually sticks with me every time. Apparently, you can hear Session before you can see her. Apparently, that's a little thing. But, I mean, if you're talking about entertainment, I mean, Session's right up there. Do you know what I mean? Works the crowd so well. In the ring, I feel like some people underestimate it based on, obviously, the style. I mean, Stevie, would that be a fair assumption?
I think you're right. I think she does the big entrance and she's, having the drink and getting drunk and grinding into people and all of that, naughty stuff that she doesn't do as much in One Piece. And, she does in some other places. I don't know if she's still doing some of that stuff that she used to do. But yeah, you're right. Underestimated. She's got a lot of fire. A lot of the just. Just a movement, her neck snaps and the way she bumps and moves about the ring and knows her positioning and things like that. I think a lot of fans would sleep on. Not that they're particularly looking for that, and it's good in a way that they're not, because that's still part of the tricks that haven't been. Do you know what I mean? The what's the saying about the magician's secrets and things? That's part of wrestling that wrestling fans don't talk about as much, which is good. But she's definitely got all of that and her ability and very athletic, and she's so bubbly. She's unbelievable, when she's there. And she comes in and she's just full of again, she's got that like Lizzie, just this spark, and she just brightens up the room when she walks in. So yeah,
there you go. Jim, I mean, obviously we know what Sessions like. Was that a fair assumption?
I think so. I totally agree about brightening everything up. Like the entrance is something else, but like I watched sort of in prep for this, and I don't know if we're going to talk about him later, but the intergender match she had with Spike Trivet, and I was watching that match, and it's, as Stevie says, her technical skills are brilliant. Her selling is phenomenal. Her timing's absolutely spot on. Yeah. But she also knows how to work these comedy spots. Like there's a bit where she runs the ropes as though she's going to do a dive to the outside and then does it one too many times and realizes she's knackered and falls over. It's just knowing when you can put that in and working it in and it being believable, but also being able to do this really sharp, tight wrestling. There's a lot more to her than you might assume from the entrance, and she's another one. Like, I've enjoyed the sort of rivalry she's had with Lizzie Evo. They're very much opposites in a lot of ways, and both of them can elicit sympathy from the crowd or be a natural babyface. More so, Session, I think, particularly a British crowd, really wants to cheer her, and yeah, she's just great. I think underrated, as Stevie said, I think is a good word.
Yeah, and the one thing that caught my eye is obviously she's got so much experience. Obviously, she's in Ring of Honor. She's obviously had a couple of things. She's been absolutely everywhere. So yeah, I mean, cannot speak enough about her. So this next one is going to be interesting. Obviously, I'll start with Jim on this one. It's Cara Noir.
Now, Cara Noir.
So we spoke highly about this, obviously, on previous shows. Obviously, we know the gimmick. Some people dig it, some people don't. But his in ring is absolutely, for me, it's right up there. I mean, what about? Would you try that again? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said, every time we've talked about this guy, I've had nothing but the highest praise for. I think he's another one, a bit like Crowley, where he knows his gimmick, he's got it absolutely worked out, and it all just complements what he does. Like the fact that he's got this swan thing extends to his gear, the fact that he doesn't wear shoes, which led to a great spot with Martin Stone at the 1PW show. For anyone who didn't see that, try and check it out. A guy threw a shoe from the audience and Stone were trying to make him wear it. It was great. But like the way he moves in the ring is like a ballet dancer. The fact that he's more focused on the technical side plays into that. You get this impression that everything he does is measured and there's a calmness to him, even when he's doing quite fast-paced wrestling. I think he has potential to be an absolute megastar. Wherever he decides to go, he will succeed at it. I do strongly believe, although as far as I'm aware, he is injured at the moment. And I'd encourage anyone to check that out. I know that I think there's like a GoFundMe and things like that for him. So I've just got my fingers crossed for him. Because he's an incredible talent, and I want to see him. First of all, I want to see him healthy first, but I want to see him back in the ring when he's ready.
Mm-hmm. Stevie, obviously, we spoke about Cara before.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, I was going to say, I think, there's that fine line, and the reason I think people might not, be invested in somebody like Cara Noir immediately, just the whole theatrical thing. There's this kind of, I don't know if it's a power play thing. It's kind of how Kenny Omega has, ruffled a few feathers by saying that he's a performer. He's, and there's that thing of, are you a theatrical presentation or are you a pro wrestler? It's either one or the other. But what I like about Cara Noir is any concerns about that are switched off the moment he gets in the ring. He does the presentation. And I'll tell you this, hopefully he won't mind me saying this. He actually does rehearse the entrance before, the event. So he times from, being at the entrance to getting in the ring to when he's, because it's in time with his music, what's that piece of music called again? Classical.
Swan Lake.
It is Swan Lake, isn't it? Of course, Black Swan, yeah. But he does, with the wings and everything, he has that all timed out. And I think some people would look down on that and think, no, this is just, this guy wants to be in theatre. He doesn't want to be a pro wrestler. Once the bell rings, like you said, Liam, he's very much a technician. He understands his place and his positioning in the ring. He brings that gimmick and makes it believable in that he's doing it to psych out his opponents. You can explain that in the pro wrestling realms, and you can use that. And I know he works for DDT in Japan and stuff, which is, again, a bit of a controversial promotion. Is it a comedy promotion? Is it a legit pro wrestling promotion? I've never actually, I'll be honest, I've never sat and watched Cara in DDT. But I do think there is a place for what he's doing. I think he wins fans over. I think it's kind of cool the way that they're a bit unsure about him when he comes to the ring and he does the entrance. And like, who is this guy? And then by the end, particularly in the match, I would have said with Christopher Daniels last year, in the way that he seemed to win everybody over, and people were quite surprised when obviously he made Chris Daniels submit. But I think they got it by the end. What he was doing and the style. As for not wearing shoes, it might not always be advisable, but again, it's all part of that particular presentation. And it's interesting that the guys you mentioned so far, Liam, again, are very I don't know if not so much character based, but personality based, and it's personalities that win. Everything you ever watch in entertainment, anything you ever get really invested in to do with entertainment, it comes down to personalities ultimately, and that's the one thing I think a lot of modern wrestlers need to take from the people you mentioned, and you're all good examples of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this next one's obviously, when I think of personality, this one's right up there, and it's Millie McKenzie. This baffles me how old she actually is. She's only 23.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, I met her when she must have been 17, 16. I don't even know.
And the one thing that gets me is obviously in the ring, she's absolutely terrific. But if you look at her progress stuff, so entertaining. I always remember watching some of her stuff. And when she comes out to the ring, there's one where it was a triple six-man women's match. It was Nina Samuels. And obviously, Nina's quite here. She tries to be serious. But when Session and obviously Millie's coming out like all dancing about, you could see that she's trying to keep it together, and it's so entertaining. But yeah, I mean, Stevie, obviously Millie McKenzie, I mean, she's so young, it's really baffling.
Yeah, as I say, I first met her. It must have been in What Culture, I'm guessing. She was really young there, got a big push at one point. Total badass, in the ring. She looks legit. She acts legit. Almost like the MMA kind of persona that she's trying to portray there, but it just seems it's just legit, and I buy everything about it. And hopefully in a few years' time, we're talking about her and she's a major star. I'd love to see that. I don't know what it is, because they are quite different, but for some reason I always think of like the Shayna Baszler thing. Like with her, she could be like that, and I'm not saying that as a knock, by the way. I'm saying that as in that I'm legit. I'm gonna take you down. I don't know what you think of that, but that's Millie McKenzie. Yeah.
There you go. Jim, obviously, I know you've seen Millie McKenzie at 1PW, but from what you've obviously researched, what do you think?
I can see the Shayna Baszler thing, actually, but I think there's another element to that with Millie, because, like, Liam, you've talked about her age. She is very young. And if you just look at the picture of her, she's almost got this butter wouldn't melt thing. But then when she's in the ring, wow, she's really, really
Put that picture up,
hard-hitting.
Liam. I just want to point this out because Jim's dead right. Yeah, she kind of looks friendly there, but the longer you stare at that, I mean, look at the muscle, look at her eyes.
Yeah.
There's something behind those eyes. She's going to snap. She's going to take
There isn't, and that's it. And I think in terms of potentially channeling that into a gimmick, you can have fun with that, because you can have, this is how she looks at first glance, and then, wow, look what she's just done to that person. And like, her moves all look so powerful. Yeah, she's, again, another real one to watch. And like you say, only 23 as well. It's just
scary.
we're talking about a lot of young people here, and the sky's the limit, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know?
I hadn't seen her for years, and I seen her this year. She said to me, that's what she said. She said, I haven't seen you for ages. And it's weird when a 23-year-old says that to you, and you're like, how old were you 6 years ago?
Yeah, that's probably one which Johnny's probably one of my favorites is Millie, and like I said, the sky's the limit. And I think the key thing obviously we're pointing out is obviously all these wrestlers are so young, so they're only going to get better, you know, over the next obviously 3-4 years. Now this next one, obviously, Stevie, I'll start with you on this one. It's Man Like Darius. Take it away.
Well, you know, he's another one that's got the entrance. You know, he comes out. The guy can actually rap. I think the thing with rapping gimmicks, if you can't do it, you know, you're gonna fall straight away. You know, no offense to what was he called in Men on a Mission? Oscar, wasn't it? So
Yep.
Oscar comes out. He wouldn't be able to do that now. He's not good enough. You know what I mean? Like we're way past that. We've had legit rapping, but it's good. Yeah, he gets the people behind him. Obviously, cool looking guy and everything comes out, and he can do the work in the ring. That's it. What else can you say?
There you go, Jim. Obviously, we've seen him countless times.
Yeah, he's another one who he's the total package, isn't he? He knows what his gimmick is. He knows how to get the crowd on board, and he's very, very good in the ring. Again, like Stevie said, it's difficult to say more with him. He's just a very, very impressive professional wrestler. And he's got charisma by the bucket load, which is great.
Yeah. No, I was going to say I don't think there's any gimmick there at all. I think that's 100% him when he comes.
Yeah,
out.
sorry.
That is all Darius. Definitely.
There you go. Next one is probably someone who is a really big fan of. Well, Paul, who obviously was really on the show, is a big fan of, and it's Lana Austin. I always remember seeing her at ICW, and to go from there to where she is now, I mean, I don't even know what to say about Lana Austin, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just she's so unique in the ring and personality-wise. Is that a fair assumption, Stevie?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know where you were going with that. Lana, I've known for a long, long time. I can tell you about an actual conversation. I'm sure wouldn't mind that we had some years ago, and it was when she was doing more. Obviously, I would say now she's doing like the diva thing in terms of look at me, I'm bigger and better than everybody else kind of thing. It wasn't that long ago. She was doing more the traditional diva, the sort of sex appeal diva. You know, I'm sexy, I'm this. And we had a good conversation going back because it was around the time, you know, there was big change happening in the world in terms of the way women are portrayed. I don't just think in wrestling, I think, you know, across the board. And she was actually getting heat for what she was doing, being the sort of sex kitten and being the, you know, this and that. And I remember, she might not remember, she was saying, you know, that's me. I'm acting like this. Why wouldn't I do this kind of thing when nobody else is doing it now? So, you know, I don't know if this is around the time of the WE revolution or whatever that was, you know, to sort of move away from that. And I think she's found herself by doing that. You know, Lana, the last time I saw, I think was earlier this year. I haven't seen her much this year at all, but unfortunately, she's just a great listener. You know, you can give her advice. She had a great feud, Liam, which I think you probably missed in What Culture Pro Wrestling with Lizzie. It was brilliant. It was so, and we never really got to the payoff. But Lana was the face, and people wanted. We did a pay-per-view in Manchester, and it was Lana and Lizzie, and you can imagine how that went down. And Lana didn't win the title, but man, the heat was it was unbelievable. Yeah, they had good chemistry that night.
Jim, obviously, what you did some research on this one?
Yeah, I've watched a few of her matches, and yeah, I think she does come in. I'm surprised when you said she was sort of the face in it, but it's another one of them where thinking about it, I can go, yeah, I can actually see how she could.
Yeah. Those matches will be out there and watch them. Watch those matches.
Yeah,
they'll be on YouTube. But
yeah, I'll look them up. It's I didn't actually come across any of those ones, but she's one where I really like. I like her look. She's almost got, with the tattoos and things, like she's almost got a sort of gothy look, but doesn't. It's weird how it has changed, because 10 years ago that would have been the gimmick, whereas now it's not. We've got to this stage in wrestling where women can look different. And like you say, it isn't this sort of cookie cutter WWE diva thing. And I like that you get women who don't all look the same, different body types and things like that. And the fact that Lana's able to carve out her own thing within this world now, I think is absolutely brilliant. And everything I've seen of her, she's looked really good. She's looked sharp in the ring. She's looked like she can adapt a character to the moment. Like one of the matches I watched, it almost seemed like it started as a babyface versus babyface, but it finished with Lana very definitely as the heel. And being able to do that, and it was a fairly small crowd in the match I was watching, that shows a lot of skill as a performer.
That's really interesting you say that, because now I come to think about it, and I would have to go back, and obviously I've got so much in my head that I can't remember specifics, but I don't think Lana actually turned face, if that makes sense. It was more like she's the one who's going to kick Lizzie's ass, you know? There's like, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Lana Austin. Look at her. She's the one we have to get behind her. And they did, because, you know, it was believable, and it was just like, you know, Manchester versus Liverpool. I love all that stuff, even though people would say, oh, that's, you know, that's a cheap way of doing things, but it always works. And Lana Austin, we've got her on board, by the way, Liam, for wrestling in Newcastle, which is the new promotion that I've been involved with this year, and she'll be back. And
awesome. I think we've got the poster for that, so we'll obviously plug a couple of shows at the end. So
we'll talk about that later. But Lana Austin will be there. She will be back.
There you go. Next one is obviously someone who's really grown on me as a performer, and it's Mark Haskins. We could side that and go Vicky Haskins as well, because it's kind of like 2 in 1. The interesting thing is, Jim, I mean, there's so many reports that apparently Mark is actually good behind the scenes, nice guy, but you don't get that obviously in the ring.
No, you don't. But see, this is a guy who we've seen in 1PW, and he's almost been on this little spree of defeating the ECW veterans. Like he upset RVD in the main event, which, to be honest, I was quite happy that I went to see it with a friend of mine, and he was like, I can't believe they brought RVD here and he's not won. I'm like, no, but that's how you build stars, you know. This is
it's amazing the amount of people that didn't get that, Jim. I was telling Lee before when I seen the some of the criticism, and I don't mean to go back to that, but it was like, why did this guy go over? Why did she go over? And it's like, because they ain't coming back. That's how it works.
No, exactly, and
We're
it,
using this, but we're pushing our own people. That's what
exactly, and it adds legitimacy to him. And then I think it was Rhino at the next event that he beat, and all of this is with shenanigans. He's not doing it cleanly, which is again is building to the heel persona. And like you say, you've got Vicky getting involved and everything. I feel like he is being set up to be like the mega heel champion. Like I fully expected him to win the 1PW championship, which wasn't how it turned out. But I can see him being a major heel champion in some promotion at some point, because again, he's got the act over the fact that you get Vicky running interference and everyone wants her to get a comeuppance as well, but then he'll come in with a cheap win. And he's one of them where he shows enough ability that he doesn't need to be cheating, which I think just elevates it even more. The fact that you've got these heels who could do it properly, but they don't. They choose the cheap route. That's out of Ric Flair's playbook and MJF's playbook. The great heels do that, and I feel like he could well be one of them.
Yep, Stevie, take it away.
Yeah, I'm gonna shatter the illusion now. I'm gonna obviously draw back the curtain, so to speak. Yeah, he's one of the nicest guys in the world, like him and Vicky, and I love hanging with those two, and I have done a lot. Just speaking to him for a long time, so softly spoken. So, how you doing, man? How's it going? And this kind of thing. And I've known him for many, many years. Going back to the FWA Academy back in the day. He was actually in a group called the Chavs, which is what it says on the tin. And he was called Skins. And yeah, I remember watching the New Japan Ring of Honor show from Madison Square Gardens, and when he appeared, I'm marking out watching it with a friend, and we both know Haskins, and he's just a good hand. I don't think he's champion personally. I don't think he's your main guy. I don't think he's somebody you build the promotion around, but he's a good hand, and you need people like that. He's an amazing worker. He can do so much in the ring. Vicky is phenomenal. Both of them as a package. It's no offense to Mark, but if I was going to book them and book them both, you want the whole thing. Top heel, definitely a threat. For whatever it is, when he comes out of the curtain, he's just not likable at all. Behind the scenes in real life, one of the best guys, one of the nicest guys in the world. I think that's destined obviously to his character. So in fact, you just, like, as soon as you go through that character, is Mark Haskins obviously the rest of it. When he's back through the curtain, it's like Mark Haskins like the real life person, as an example. Yeah, whatever he's got inside, he digs down and he brings that out. And the same with Vicky as well. Just two really great guys. And I can remember earlier this year during a pay-per-view, we were in like the gorilla position, just having a laugh, having fun, and great to talk to, both of them. Just the absolute best. Yeah.
Next up we've got and it's one who obviously has been at quite a few shows. It's Robbie X. Now, the interesting thing is he's obviously got one of my favourite matches I've seen, obviously against Will Ospreay at obviously 1PW shows. But, I mean, high flyer, absolutely great in the ring. And, I mean, the pop obviously gets at Lincoln's really, really good. But, I mean, he can work obviously with the high flying style. I mean, Jim, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw him at the New Twist of Fate 1PW show, and he was in the opening match. And yeah, he has got this high flying style, which is really great at engaging the crowd and everything. And then when they announced that they'd booked Will Ospreay for an event, it was a light bulb goes off, and you go, well, it's got to be Robbie X. He's going to be the guy to take him on. And that match, I just thought, was so well done. Robbie was, we talked about it a little bit at the time, but he was supposed to be the hometown hero, but because Will Ospreay's Will Ospreay, the crowd reaction didn't quite break down the way they wanted it to. But the story they told was amazing, and it was Robbie X's matching Will Ospreay move for move for move until it goes that little bit too long, and then you see Robbie getting tired. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying within the context of the storyline. I'm not having a go at Robbie's cardio or anything. So the story is he's starting to get a little bit tired. He's to the point where he kind of knows he can't win, but he's gonna keep going. And there was a brilliant spot where Robbie was just sort of leaning on him with his head, and as if to say, "Come on, put me away," sort of thing. And yeah, to be asked to hold a match in a main event in your hometown with a guy who's considered by many the best wrestler in the world today, and to take all that on your shoulders and do it without figuratively breaking a sweat, it shows how good the guy is. And he was sort of rewarded, I think, for that at 1PW by winning one of the titles that they did in a scramble match. I just think he's an exciting performer to watch, and look forward to seeing where he goes.
Stevie, obviously, I'm sure you know Robbie behind the scenes.
Yeah, I remember him since day one. He went to they did a training session with new guys at 1PW in the Doncaster Dome before one of the events back in the day. He was just a young kid then. He had something about him. People were talking about his athleticism. Since then, just getting all over the country. Just being able to go, just being able to hang. The speed, the agility, unbelievable. Seen him have some great matches. You mentioned there, Jim, that first match since 1PW's come back with Ace Austin. If I'm honest, it's probably my match of the night. Really, really good match. I've seen him against El Phantasmo. I've seen him against obviously Ospreay, Pac. He can hang with all of those guys. Whoever you want to mention. He was, we talked about the Gen X League in NGW and stuff. He's been the main babyface basically in that particular division in NGW because he can do those really exciting matches. And it's funny wrestling, isn't it? Because it's not a knock when somebody says, "Wow, that was epic. That was a really exciting match," and then they find out it went 6 minutes or something. And he did it recently. There's a wrestler. He does he's called Zeo Knox, and he does like a Tory gimmick. He's in. And he wrestled at Wrestling Newcastle recently. They did 6 minutes with Robbie X, and it was fantastic. I mean, he just came out and got over straight away with that audience they'd never seen Robbie before. And whatever it is, he's got it. Where he goes with it now, I'm not sure how old Robbie is. He'll always be, I remember him. I'm sure he was barely 15 when I met him years ago. I don't know how old he is now. What he wants to do with it, I don't know. But it is great to hear that he's still having these great matches all over the country.
Yeah, one thing I like, obviously, we like that style of matchup is obviously you're watching the match and then you look at the timestamp and you're like, that did not feel like that. Was like, you know what I mean? Stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's not criticism though, is it? When you talk about movie and you're like, oh, that felt like it lasted forever, or it felt, and it's kind of a criticism, but in wrestling, it's kind of not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the 20-minute scramble match, and it doesn't feel like 20 minutes, but then you look at the timestamp, it's like that was actually 20 minutes, and you're like, well, what can I say? Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
Next one I've got is, and it's someone who I'm a big fan of. It's Dani Luna. The one thing I like about obviously Dani Luna herself is the physical style in the ring. I always remember the Exia Brookside match, which I remember was the dark match for what Devils Do. Remember, Ryland? Yeah. I mean, the physical aspect and the fact that she won, everyone were like, oh, because I remember everybody was thinking Exia was going to win. And then when Dani wins, it's like, oh, okay. So, but Stevie, Dani Luna?
Yeah, good valet, good manager, whatever you want to call it. She's more than a valet. I don't mean that in a disrespectful sense. Great look. You know, obviously she's competent in the ring. I think she can hold her own. I've seen her have interactions with men, even though I'm not a big fan of gender mixed matches, whatever you want to call them. But it's convincing with Danny. She puts the blows in. She doesn't hold back. Great look. If you look at that picture again, Liam, just get it up if you can. I mean, she's a heel, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
So the subculture thing's great. It's a great part of the presentation, and again, it'll be interesting to see where she goes as well.
Mm-hmm. Jim, obviously, I don't know how much you know about Danny.
Yeah, I've watched a few of her. I'd not come across her prior to this, but I've tried to find out a bit about her and watch some of her matches. And see, the thing with me with the like you say, yes, she is a heel, but like the whole punk rock thing, that's kind of my music and everything. So I kind of want to cheer for subculture, but that's me. And
He's a mod, though, Jim. We've got to boo the mods.
Yes, very true. So I think she's, like you say, she's solid in the ring. She's got a really good, like she did a Three Amigos spot with the suplexes in one of the matches I watched, and I know a suplex is a move that you see everybody do in so many different matches. But somehow she put such emphasis into it that it actually made me take note. And I think that's a skill in modern wrestling where you see these matches, within 10 seconds, you have 8 Canadian destroyers or what have you. To be able to take sort of meat and potatoes move like a suplex and actually make a viewer who's watched a lot of wrestling go, wow, that was done incredibly well. So she's definitely got something.
Yeah, I think that's a fair little comment. The next one is, I absolutely love this guy's promo work, and we obviously mentioned him earlier. Spike, and I want to get his second name right. Trivette. Have I got it right?
It is. It's not Trivette. He told me I remember him telling me to announce him as Trivette, and that's part of his gimmick. And he's like, it's not Trivette, and then everybody gets on his case, all the fans.
I mean, Stevie, I've just mentioned there, he's got one of the best promo works, and I've said that one of my best feuds over the past couple of years is obviously In Progress against Cara. Yeah. I mean, I would recommend that feud to absolutely anybody because they told an unbelievable story.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the matches. I mean, the cage match. I had a friend of mine who was sending me pictures, and he was saying, this is, really, really good. And then I'm glad that they've done this, long run of feud and everything. But they seem to be quite evenly matched and whatnot. And you need opponents like that. So yeah, he's seemingly came out of nowhere, came from Progress. I'm guessing he trained there. He's known as Progress guy. Again, we're talking about characters. This is what it comes down to. I think that with Spike Trivet, for me, the look, you talk about his promos and things. These are all very important things, and I would love that. The up and comers to pay attention to what actually is getting over, and it's not, going 100 miles an hour. All that stuff's really cool, but just stop and pause and look at who you are, look in the mirror, and come up with something that you can identify with. And for whatever reason, he identifies with being Spike Trivet.
Mm-hmm. Jim, Spike Trivet.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Again, not really come across the guy before, but he could end up being one of my favourites. Like, I really love a good heel character, and he's got this very deadpan sort of British sense of humour. I'm not sure how well he'd translate overseas, actually, though William Regal made it work, so you never know. But I just think he's got it, and like you mentioned, Liam, the rivalry with Cara Noir were brilliant. It's taking those opposites. You've got Cara, who's this ballet, comes across as incredibly cultured and takes it all very seriously. And then you've got Spike, who's undercutting that with this line of sort of nasty humour. And I did watch the intergender match with Session Moth, and regardless of your feelings on intergender wrestling, it's just such a well put together piece of work. in terms of character and the in-ring action. I definitely think he's one to watch. I'm gonna go away after this and watch more of his promos, I think.
Yeah, he's terrific. The next one is Stevie, for some bizarre reason, doesn't know this person. Now, it's Harley Hudson. Now, this one's obviously come across my radar over the past couple of months. For somebody who looks like very, I won't say petite, but like not as like physical as you think, but in the ring, I feel like she's absolutely, really underrated. I feel like this is probably one to watch over the next couple of years. Jim, what do you find on this one?
I agree. Like what you say about her look, she comes across very sort of unassuming, but she's got it in the ring without question. What I liked about it is that because she has got a fairly slight frame, she can sell the babyface fighting from underneath kind of thing. And it does immediately get a crowd on side. There's a real likability with her that comes across. So yeah, she's another one that you would want to see where she goes with it, what she's going to do in the future. But everything I've seen so far, she looks very, very promising.
I know you obviously don't know much about this, Steve. So have you got anything to add?
Just link me some matches and I'll have a look. She's got a good look. Again, that's the one thing. These people that you've picked, Liam, put it back up there because you can stick people like that on a poster and she looks legit. Yeah.
There you go. So we've got two more obviously wrestlers to cover. Now this next one, many people think this guy is really underrated, and it is, of course, Scotty Rourke. Again, I've just mentioned there, a lot of people say he's really underrated. Based on the talent, Stevie, do you think he goes under the radar a lot?
I don't think I'm surprised to hear that. Who are these people you're speaking to, Liam?
Let's just say, we'll say the fan base, okay?
Okay, the fan base. Well, Scotty, again, a lot of fire comes out and he's the rock star and all of that stuff. And I think I said it best. I remember... I can't remember the particular match, to be honest, but he has worked NGW a lot. But there was one moment, and I turned to somebody and said, whatever it is he did that was different, he went from being, you're talking about like rock music and whatnot, Jim. He went from being a fan to being a rock star, and there was just something that he did, whether it's just through doing the amount of events that he's done. He's getting quite prolific now. There was one of the TNT titles he's got there. Is that right? Yeah, he's getting all over.
TNT.
He's great attitude, great guy. No problems with Scotty whatsoever. There's definitely a place on the card for him. As a matter of fact, I'm just thinking of a match we did this summer, again at wrestling in Newcastle, where it was Scotty Rourke against HT Drake, who's known for being a heel, and this is in Newcastle upon Tyne. So Drake comes out and he's actually babyface, and we were worried that was going to hurt Scotty, so they had this face versus face match. It was only like a 5-minute match, but what was really interesting was they managed to keep the popularity. Really difficult match to do. I wouldn't advise anybody booking a match like that as such. But he got over big time. Very athletic. I can't really add anything else. Good luck. Just keep doing what you're doing is what I would say to Scotty. Just improve, build on it, and go from there.
Jim, obviously, what did you find out? Obviously, Scotty, we know obviously from one PW shows as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's underrated. Like, maybe thinking about it, the matches I've seen him in have largely been sort of these multi-man matches with other high flyers, and maybe it's because that's becoming such a prevalent style these days that people maybe get a little bit lost in the shuffle. But I think he's fantastic, and for me, he's a standout person within that sort of genre of wrestling. And I mean this as a compliment, so if it doesn't come across that way, I apologize. But if I was playing my create a wrestler mode on one of these games, I would probably design someone who looks like Scotty Rourke. You know, it just appeals to my aesthetic. My wife's got a Scotty Rourke t-shirt, you know, and she's not even that mega into wrestling. I just think he's great. I think he's got it all. He's got the look. He's got the talent in the ring. Absolute bucket loads. Like Stevie said, he carries himself like a rock star. I don't know. Maybe stop putting him in multi-man matches. Give him a really good feud. You know what? Put him with Spike Trivet and have them have a rivalry. That'd be interesting. Something that can really bring out the best of him.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm so sick of multi-matches, and I just don't think they work on this level. I'm not saying that AEW are wrong or even WE are wrong on that level, but at this level, you know, you want to give people chances, and I understand all of that. But for me, yeah, let's get more Scotty Rourke singles matches.
I think
I'm up for that. And you'll agree. Oh, you might not. I don't know. I'll tell him.
I think it's the difference between there's different things that you go to wrestling for, and sometimes you go to it purely for the physical spectacle, and these matches deliver that in spades. But the stuff you remember is the stories where it gets you invested. And I think that's what takes people from one level to another level. And you can still do all that stuff, but it means so much more when it's done in a story.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So we've got one more wrestler to obviously talk about. I do think we will do a part 2 on this, because there's obviously a lot of names which got mentioned. So, right then, the last one on our list is Will Cruz. The one thing I love about Will Cruz, by the way, when he comes out is, I'll say his smile is so infectious. Do you know what I mean? You can do not but smile. That's credit to him. But Jim, we said this obviously on a previous show. For a guy of obviously stature, he's very, he can do some high flying.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I think, again, the first match I saw him in was at the New Twist of Fate, and it was in that 6-man super hardcore match with Ulf Herman. And yeah, he did a moonsault from the top turnbuckle to the outside in that. Mm-hmm. And he has got that thing because of his size, his build, where if he pulls out a move like that, people immediately stand up and take notice, and it creates this huge wow moment. It's like, you know, Bam Bam Bigelow, when he used to do things, you don't expect to see that from a guy that size. And it just immediately gets a pop. But like we've said about a couple of other guys on the list, there is more to him than that. He's a very solid wrestler. He's got a very, very likable demeanor to him. Gets the fans on side immediately. And yeah, again, I think there is something unique about him, and you could see him going places with it. I'm always excited to see a Will Cruz match, and we mentioned this the last time we talked about 1PW, that they put him on in a effectively a dark match, and they didn't put it on the social media before, so we actually missed it, which I was gutted, because he's one of the ones that, you know, I really, really look forward to seeing. So I've learnt my lesson. I'll always get there early in future for whatever show it is.
There you go. Stevie, obviously Will Cruz.
Yeah, obviously, you know, a bigger guy than a lot of the people that we've mentioned, but he has that baby face. I do wonder if that will be kind of detrimental against him in you know, some places. I'd love to see him work a heel. I'm not sure he can. I know he's been booked as a heel, but you're right. He's got these facials, and he's able to. There's just something likable about him, isn't there? And you need people like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking him at all, but yeah, very athletic. Obviously, a bigger guy than a lot of these the younger talent. Maybe they need to get bigger. I don't know, but he does have that going for him. And as you say, like the moonsault, and you know, the comparisons with you know, Bam Bam or Vader or people like that. I don't know. He's not quite as big as those, but he looks it, and he's got the stature, and you know, I love his entrance. I love his ring gear as well. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes. I really, he's a big question mark for me. I'll be honest. I don't know where he's going to go, but yeah, not a traditional babyface. but I feel he needs to be, if that makes sense.
I think if he turned heel, it'd have to be like a monster aggressive heel push, wouldn't it? And use his size in that way. Whereas at the minute he uses it as, I am this size, but look what I can do. I think it'd have to take on this sort of monster persona if he were to go down the heel route.
No, you're right. You'd have to take away the pizzazz and whatnot. But even with his face, you know, I don't know, you have to put a mask on him or something, because it's like, you know, he looks, it's got that smile, you know, he's in the ring, and he's like, when, you know, he did the bit, I didn't know it was going to happen at Devil's Due, when I think he took the mic and introduced Haskins, and then you had Matt Myers with Cruz, and then Will Cruz gives you the mic. I had no idea he was going to do that, and it's like, now I have to announce you again. But he's got that smile, and he's got that sort of, you know, playful sort of look to him, and it's like, yeah, he's babyface. But we'll see where it goes.
There you go, guys. That's our show. So before we do all that, before we do our outro, we've got a few obviously shows to plug. So Stevie, I'll press the image, and you can obviously discuss it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a new venture. We started earlier this year with our first couple of shows. It's called Simply Wrestling in Newcastle. You know, it's a fun family show, but we've got some of the best talent from all over the country. I mean, look at the poster. You can see some of the people we've even spoke about on there. You've got Brady Phillips front and center. Joseph Connors is going to be there. Dean Allmark's going to return. You can see Lana Austin in the back. Shreddy's on there, and much more. We're going to crown our first Wrestling in Newcastle champion. It's going to be a gauntlet for the gold match. There you go, Paulie C. You know, that he's a great character, I tell you now. I don't know if that would work everywhere, but it's kind of like he's the ultimate Asbo, and that I should say it all, really. Yeah, he's going to be, if you could put that up again, Liam, sorry, just so I can to remind myself. So, yeah, he's against, obviously, Rob Drake, Isaac North, Brady Phillips, who I mentioned, Dean Allmark, who's an amazing technical wrestler, versus the winner of the opening qualifier match, which is a four-way match to decide who else is going to be in that. It's going to be completely random, so we don't know who's going to be starting the gauntlet, but it's going to be win it still. It's all on style. Yeah, whoever wins will be the first champion. So if you're in the area, come to that. It's a great event. I think Wrestling in Newcastle, I mean, I've watched back the last two events. It is very much in that NGW vein, in that the strong families from the area in the crowd, but wrestling fans will really appreciate that. As a matter of fact, the best review I read online was something along the lines of, and I'm grabbing this out of thin air, so it's not quite right, but it was something like, by the time it came to like the third, fourth match, something had occurred to me that this was not just good, but it's really good, and it's a way higher quality than what you would expect to see at these sort of, you know, social club / community centre shows. So we're going to make something of it, hopefully. Wrestling in Newcastle, like I say, I'm involved quite a lot with them, and hopefully it'll turn into something pretty good.
There you go. So, Stevie, anything you want to plug?
I think that's it, to be honest, at the moment. As I say, if people want to add me on social media, if you want to message me, people do. I get all kinds of weird stuff on my Facebook feed, as you've seen, Liam. You know, I'm taking the mick half the time. You know, I'm not that serious on social media. I know some people are, but yeah, by all means, you know, we can talk about wrestling, talk about whatever you want. Yeah, got the, you know, nothing until that next NGW event next month, and then, you know, we'll go from there, see what happens.
There you go. Jim, anything you want to plug?
No, I'm all right. You can, if you do want to hear what I think about Star Trek as well as wrestling, you can check out Retrek on, look it up on their socials.
I'll tell you one thing, Liam. I will add this. I'm going to play this WrestleQuest. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but I'm going to play the RPG. I'm going to have a go tonight. I'm going to be reviewing that for Inside the Ropes magazine, but my review will be out next month. But yeah, WrestleQuest, RPG wrestling game, which has never really been done before. So we'll see.
It looks pretty cool, that actually.
It does look very cool. does look very cool.
Dear. Right then, so if you guys want to follow us on social media, you can head to effingwrestling.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok now. We're absolutely everywhere as always. If you guys want a t-shirt, you can head to prowrestlingtees.com/effingwrestling. You can buy yourself the All Effing Wrestling shirt, which was modeled by a friend of the show, Natalia Markova. Or the Magic of Wrestling shirt, which is modeled by my good friend Dollywood. And if you like old school wrestling, because I know a lot of people do, you can head to prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis. Sorry, I had to get there. I always have to do that every single time. So it's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, guys, Stevie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Anytime.
Jim, enjoy All In.
I will do, yeah.
Oh, yes. You'll be there live. That'll be an experience and a half.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. So I want to end the show with something a little bit, obviously, more positive because sadly, obviously, we've lost two very big wrestlers, this week in Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda, respectively. Do you know what I mean? As always, our thoughts and prayers go with the family. But Stevie, life's too short to argue. Do you know what I mean? Based on all this, is that a fair comment?
I think so. I mean, as long as it's positive arguing and positive anger, it's like the relationship with me and Lizzie Evo. We shout at each other and we fight, and she tries to put me in a full Nelson. But it's at the end of the day, we're on the same page, really.
Jim, anything to add on that?
I'm just glad that Stevie and Lizzie are on the same page.
Right,
I'll have loads of abusive messages now from Lizzie, probably Lana Austin as well if she's watched.
Well, this has been streamed obviously to a lot of things, so you probably might do. Expect some messages.
I didn't bury anyone, did I? I don't think so.
No, not at all.
No.
Right then, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Magic Man out.